The Chiefs' pass rush has been a real cause for concern. I think most people felt that it was not quite satisfactory last year. There were some moments, but overall it felt like it took a step back from the year before. Although many have argued with good reason that part of that problem was that the Chiefs' pass rush has always been kind of a slow burn pass rush, and our coverage got a lot worse last year. So those moments where we were getting the quarterback to hold the ball for 3-4 seconds went down a lot, and so that resulted in a lower output from the pass rush. But this preseason has also not been that promising when it comes to looking at the pass rush, and I think that changed a little bit in this Bears game. The Chiefs had several instances of getting pressure with 4, not having to run any exotic blitzes or anything to get pressure. So we're going to look at a couple of those plays where the Chiefs managed to generate some pass rush. Starting here with 11:08 to go in the first quarter with the Bears in a 2nd and 19 situation. So the Bears appear to be in 11 personnel here with 1 running back and 1 tight end. And as you can see, the Chiefs are in nickel. One thing to note, it'll be an important thing to follow through the year. Shamari Connor right now in the nickel is the slot guy. Trent McDuffie is lined up on the outside. So additionally, we have Bolton and Chanel as the linebackers. Not sure if that's mainly because of Tranquil's health. That would be my guess. Tranquil didn't appear to play that much in this game, if at all, honestly. So I would imagine during the regular season this would be Bolton and Tranquil, assuming that they're both healthy. Hicks and Cook are the deep safeties, with Connor having kicked down into the slot, and Watson and McDuffie are on the outside. So let's take a look at this play, and then we can break down what happened. Caleb Williams is here in the shotgun. He takes the snap and drops back, ultimately bailing out to his right and having to throw the ball away. And I want to start by looking at the pass rush. So we've got Jerry Tillery essentially rushing from a real interior position, like a 1 technique. He's almost straight over the head of the center. He's just offset to the center. It's outside shoulder, so he's 1 technique. Chris Jones at the 3 technique. And then Dana and Karlaftis rushing from the ends. And as you see, Tillery, the 1 technique, is the one that gets the double. Chris Jones, Dana, and Karlaftis are all 1-on-1. And the Chiefs just slowly collapse this pocket. So if you see, Caleb hits the back of his drop. The coverage is good. Nobody is notably open. They're running essentially what devolves into cover 1 man. So ultimately, as the Chiefs match the concepts, everybody's manned up. Bolton down here, and you've got Cook as the single high safety. So Caleb doesn't like what he sees, and he really doesn't have a ton of time to survey. Look at how well the Chiefs are just collapsing everything within. The double actually moves as Tillery is making his push. This guard actually comes over to help against Dana. But look at all 4 pass rushers are collapsing this pocket, and essentially once Caleb has not turned down his first read, he's not comfortable anymore. I mean, bodies are coming to him. He's starting to get the backs of his offensive linemen, and Chris Jones in particular does a great job of flashing his hat over here, or at least his arm enough, and actually so does Tillery, to dissuade Caleb Williams from just running through the A-gap. So he can't. They've kind of flashed. Tillery does a good job right there, and Williams is forced to bail. So this is kind of what we expect as like the high end of the Chiefs defense against the pass. I think they're always going to be a defense that's going to rely on physical coverage, tight coverage, especially early in routes. And if they can just make the quarterback progress to read 2 and especially 3, that's when they expect the pass rush to hit home. The only quick winner that the Chiefs really have on their pass rush is Chris Jones, and maybe you give half a point to Charles Omenihu because he occasionally is able to win quickly too. But Karlaftis, particularly Dana, unless he's rushing from the inside against the Chargers, it seems, they're not really quick winners, And Ashton Gelati, to this point, we're not really sure what his contribution against number one, starting offensive tackles is going to be. So we're really looking for, the Chiefs win quickly when they get schemed up on blitzes and when Chris Jones wins, and occasionally Omenihu. Otherwise, they need the coverage to be like this. But it's important that they get home, and that's what happened here, is that once they did get Caleb to hold the ball for 3 seconds, he wasn't comfortable, and he had to bail. Karlaftis, the water polo player, always does a great job of maintaining effort till the end, putting pressure. If you notice, Leo Chanel peels off and helps out too to dissuade any scrambling downfield, and Caleb Williams has to throw the ball away. The pass concept itself was essentially, they had like dual in-cut routes at the intermediate level. They had the slot running like a deep over to try to occupy the safety. This would be the one route that like maybe came open early. I think the receiver, is that Odunze, I believe, was physical with McDuffie enough to create early separation initially, but McDuffie, as he always does, closed that quickly. Quarterbacks aren't going to be in a huge hurry to throw to McDuffie. And by the time there was any chance of anybody getting open, Williams was spooked, The pass rush had really collapsed the pocket, and he didn't really feel he had anywhere to go. So again, from the end zone view, you can see just the steady movement, and look at how, he hits the back of his drop here. And at this point, look, everybody is coming in, converging. This is a nice collapsing of the pocket. And they maintain their rush lanes enough that, look, as Caleb tries to find a spot for himself up in the A-gap, Tillery and Chris Jones do a good job of dissuading him and force him to escape from back out through the pocket, which allows Karlaftis to give chase and ultimately force the throwaway. Now we're looking at the following play. So we've got a 3rd and 19 now for the Bears, just outside the Chiefs' 20-yard line. This time the Bears are again at 11 personnel with one running back and one tight end, but the Chiefs go dime. There's only one linebacker on the field, that's Nick Bolton, and they have 6 defensive backs. Their 3 corners are that's Jalen Watson, Christian Fulton, and then Trent McDuffie is in the slot. So when they get to dime from nickel, it seems like in nickel they're keeping McDuffie and Watson on the outsides and putting Chamari Connor in the slot. Here in dime, they've got McDuffie in the slot, Connor playing like a middle of the field rover, and then they've got Hicks and Cook back deep. So when they're going dime, they're going 3 safety dime, which their nickel is a 3 safety nickel as well. And it looks like from early in the preseason that 3rd safety may be Hicks, although we didn't get a lot of base reps in this game to know if they're still sticking with Connor and Cook as their base safeties. But anyway, the dime looks like 3 corners and 3 safeties along with Nick Bolton. Another exciting thing, dime rusher, was Ashton Gelati. Good to see him playing with the ones. So they've got Karlaftis, they got Gelati and Omenihu on the inside, and then Jones out on the edge. And it really looks like, let's take a look at the play, and then we can break it down. So we've got Williams in the shotgun with the running back to his right. He takes the snap and ultimately throws it over to his right to DJ Moore for a gain of about 14 on 3rd and 19, and so the Chiefs force a 4th down. So the interesting part about this play, and the reason why it's part of this film review, is look at the pocket for the Bears against the three-man rush of Jones on the outside, Omenihu in the middle, and Karlaftis on the outside on the other side. Gelati really looks like he's playing like a QB spy here. He is just dropping back and mirroring, keeping eyes on Caleb Williams, and then ultimately doing a late rush once Williams is hanging in the pocket. But so the Chiefs really have three rushers. And look at Omenihu in particular at the push he's getting, and really Karlaftis here too. With Chris Jones, it looks like handling a triple team, at least getting chipped while having inside help. I mean, he's got two linemen and then a chip from a running back. That's what Chris Jones is dealing with on this play. Omenihu just keeps it moving up the pocket. Karlaftis keeps collapsing. I mean, this is an awesome pass rush from three. And again, Williams just doesn't have a lot of time. The Chiefs do a good job of capping everything. What they're doing in coverage is they're running essentially a Tampa 2. So they're two deep safeties. Hicks and Cook have deep halves, and Shamari Connor is running the middle. So he's the guy that's going to cover the middle of the field if you get a deep route. If you notice, they end up having to contend with a post. So Connor runs with it until it's established that Cook has capped it, and he sees a dig route, so he falls off to help wall that dig route and allow Cook to stay over top of the post. Since Cook has the post covered and there's nothing deep on Hicks's side, Hicks is able to try to drive down on this curl route to DJ Moore that, again, Watson is conservatively staying over the top of. And as Hicks drives down, he's able to make sure there's no chance that DJ Moore is going to turn this into a first down. But ultimately, a great pass rush, only rushing three. And the idea of Gelati as a spy is very interesting. It'd be kind of fun to see if that progresses. Again, we've got Omenihu essentially playing nose, and then Jones and Karlaftis out wide. And look at the push Omenihu has on the center, and the guards both choose to help outside toward the DNs, and then DeAndre Swift gives a chip. So we've got three guys at this moment accounting for Chris Jones. Omenihu winning his one-on-one, Karlaftis pushing back through a double team. And they do enough to encroach the space. Honestly, Omenihu gets very close to affecting the accuracy of this throw. And Caleb's able to get it off. Good job by Hicks driving on that and limiting it to 4th and 5. All right, we'll jump ahead a little bit. Chiefs are up 10-0 at this point, and the Bears have a 2nd and about 3 at the Chiefs' 44-yard line. The Bears come out here in what looks like 11 personnel again, 1 running back, 1 tight end, and the Chiefs, again, are in their nickel. They've got 5 defensive backs. Again, as we mentioned, Shamari Connor in the slot. They're playing the 3 safety look. They've got Cook and Hicks back deep. McDuffie is out wide. And Jalen Watson is the other boundary corner. Let's take a look at this play, and then we'll break it down. We've got Williams in the shotgun. Drops back to throw, and again, the pocket's just collapsing around him. He's moving around, ultimately gets sacked. Sack is split by Chris Jones and Charles Omenihu. Now, this play was going around a lot on the internet during the game, and I saw Caleb Williams taking a lot of criticism, particularly from Bears fans themselves. And I honestly, reviewing this, feel like that's pretty unfair. Look, I'm no Caleb Williams defender. I don't think he's a bad quarterback, but I'm not certain that he's going to be a great quarterback. I don't know that he'll live up to the number 1 pick billing, but he's only played 1 year. We've seen this before where guys might get things together after not playing as well initially. My one fear with him is that he does his best when things are unstructured. I have not really felt like he's consistently played well in structure, and Ben Johnson is a very structured coach, so let's see if he's able to kind of play within the structure. I think he'll have a good year. Anyway, my point being, I'm not one of those that is confident that Caleb Williams will be a great quarterback, but I don't know that this play is the example I would go to of him doing something very poorly. So Williams here drops back and gets to the back of his drop. He initially is looking right, and you've got great coverage here from Trent McDuffie. Doesn't like what he's seeing with DJ Moore. Could try to dump off initially. Leo Chanel's getting out there. And so he starts looking left. Again, tight coverage with Connor. Tight coverage from Watson. Cook is trailing the tight end. I think this is Loveland with Bolton underneath. So one could argue that this throw might be there right there. But we'll go through exactly what his reads were. Again, by the time really, he's hit back here, his pocket's already really collapsing. So I couldn't believe the number of people online that were like, Caleb Williams had a good pocket. This is not a good pocket. This pocket gets muddy really fast. Like if he's got to throw right now, which one could argue he could try to make this throw right now, but he doesn't have a great window yet from Bolton, right? And maybe if he throws this with a little bit of anticipation out here and lets Loveland run to it, but then by the time he is seeing Loveland's clearing Bolton, he's uncomfortable. And I think what people were trying to suggest was that Caleb Williams should run up through the A-gap here. But I think what he is worried about when he's bailing to his left is Charles Omenihu collapsing from his right. And if you see, Omenihu has the inside shoulder, so I'm not confident Williams makes it if he goes that way. I don't think this was a bad decision at all at this point to try to bail out through the B gap, but Chris Jones managed to get him in the same way that I think Omenihu would have had he tried to leave from the front. So I'm not really sure what people expect Williams to do here. I mean, the one critique could be that if you're able to throw it here and get enough, not like a missile here, just a little bit less on the ball so that you can time it so Loveland can clear Nick Bolton and make a catch. That's your one option here, unless he had decided early in his progression to just dump this off immediately to Swift. This isn't there as he comes back the other way. These aren't here. This is your one shot. And we'll see if while that's popping open, he's even looking at that. And then by this point, he has no confidence in the pocket. It's completely crumbling. I don't know that I agree that there was a clear time that he was able to get out of here. I think Omenihu was doing enough to get the inside of the right tackle in a way that would have impeded him. So more than any critique on Caleb Williams, I just think, again, the Chiefs did a great job of collapsing this pocket with 4, and Williams had nowhere to go. So, again, let's look at it from here. So he looked right. He didn't like DJ Moore. We get that. Now he's looking and so that's the other thing is he's not looking at Loveland. So this was his throw, but that's not where he is in his progression. I think when he does probably scan right here, Loveland's still making his break and Bolton is underneath that. And at the point where it's okay, now you realize this throw might be there, he's already moved on. And he's looking to his left where no one is open, as we saw. So, I don't know. I really... And see, you see Omenihu here. If this is when he decides to go, I think Omenihu is a big deterrent as to why he didn't try to climb the pocket and go through the A-gap. And whoever called this a good pocket, I don't know what to tell you. This I just feel like Caleb Williams is taking way too much crap for this play. Like this is like a perfect, like if Caleb Williams hangs in here, throws that ball right now and gets this out to Loveland, I'm just like, that's very, very good quarterback play. You know, it's not bad quarterback play to try to bail from an escaping pocket and get sacked. Not in this situation. I don't know that he had a ton to do unless he had just happened to be on Loveland at the right moment, which he wasn't. It wasn't the way his progression was going. So, all in all, to me, it's just an example of the Chiefs pass rush had a good night and really instilled a little more faith, hopefully, in Chiefs fans, because it hadn't looked great until this preseason game. Jump ahead to the second quarter. The Bears have a 2nd and 8 at the Chiefs' 46-yard line or so. And they come out here in 11 personnel again. Got one running back and one tight end. The Chiefs match in their nickel. And true to form, they have Shamari Connor coming into the slot. So they've got a 3 safety set up in their nickel. McDuffie stays on the outside. This time, Christian Fulton has come to the outside, replacing Jalen Watson. Bolton and Chanel are still in, and Tillery and Jones continue to man the inside with Dana and Omenahue on the outside. Let's take a look at this play, and then we can break it down. You've got Caleb Williams in the slot. Takes a snap here and drops back, steps up and throws it underneath to Zacchaeus, who actually ends up getting a first down. But again, what I want to look at is the Chiefs' front 4. This time they end up leaving a pretty wide B gap. It looks like the center does a good job of moving Tillery over and kind of keeping a nice wide lane for Williams, who doesn't require it to escape. But look at Charles Omenahue getting isolated one-on-one and just walking the tackle right back into Williams. This is, again, great collapsing of the pocket by the Chiefs. You've got Chris Jones getting to the outside of the guard, continuing to put pressure. And again, Williams ends up having time to throw underneath. The Chiefs, coverage-wise, look to be in a cover 3 variation. Cook is deep running with the post. There's a dig underneath that's being covered. Really, this underneath route to Zacchaeus, and then ultimately the late leak out by the running back are the only things that kind of pop open. And you see Connor getting out to that, but everything is topped over here. Zacchaeus just makes the catch underneath and is able to really put a spin move on Nick Bolton in order to squirt forward for the first down. But all in all, the coverage was okay, and the pass rush, again, is collapsing the pocket. The only guy that didn't get too much push here was Tillery, but Jones and Omenahue in particular really were able to make Williams move around a little, and Omenahue, if a little extra time, would have sacked him. So again, they weren't able to prevent the first down, but we're talking about Williams here getting to the back of his drop and the tackle's really being walked back into him. He's seeing bodies. This is what you want from the Chiefs because, again, the way that the Chiefs defense wins historically, we were a really good defense in 2023. That's my favorite thing is everybody talks about the Chiefs are like a defensive team now. The Chiefs had a really good defense once, 2023. Now, is Spags awesome situationally? Yes. Does Spags crank it up in the playoffs? Yes. I'm not saying that I'm not trying to not give this defense credit. But at the same time, to say it's just like a juggernaut defense that's carrying a football team, you can make that argument in 2023 for sure. The rest of the time, the Chiefs have just been impeccable situationally. But going back to what I was saying, once the Chiefs are good, it's because they're able to get these not quite coverage sacks, but slow burn sacks. Just keep collapsing the pocket, and if nothing is there, then you get this sack. And you're not asking your guys to cover for 5 seconds, but you are asking them to cover for 3.5, sometimes 4. And the Chiefs have been able to do that in the past. Again, to me, just very promising that the pass rush looks like it has a lot more juice than it did in the first couple of weeks of the preseason. And honestly, at times last season. And so Tillery here playing the one tech. Amenahu is out wide. We got the 3 tech over here, and Dana is head up over the tight end. And so with the way that the guard helps out on Tillery, they do create a bit of a gap, which you do worry a little bit about rush lane integrity when you have a quarterback as mobile as Caleb Williams. But look at Amenahu push. Look at the push he gets. Look at Chris Jones winning to the outside. And they cause the step up, and he dumps it off underneath. And the receiver just does a good job here. This reminds me a lot of Tyreek Hill, the like wheeling backwards, going back 3 yards in order to get 5, you know. But there you go. First down Bears, but the point of this from a Chiefs perspective is, again, the pass rush isn't sitting stagnant. They're collapsing the pocket with 4, and that's a really good sign for things to come. We now jump ahead to 8:54 to go. In the second quarter, the Bears have a 3rd and 5 at the Chiefs' 10-yard line. So here come the Bears, again at 11 personnel, 1 running back, 1 tight end. The Chiefs again match with their nickel. There are 5 defensive backs on the field. Cook is back here. Hicks has come on the field. Again, Connor in the slot with McDuffie out wide with Christian Fulton. Bolton and Chanel are the linebackers. Karlaftis has come back onto the field, and Amenahu, Chris Jones on the inside. Mike Dana is on the outside. Tillery has come off the field. So let's take a look at this play, and then we'll break it down. You've got Williams in the shotgun. He drops back to throw. It throws over the middle, and it's almost intercepted by Brian Cook. And the Chiefs end up forcing a 4th down. So what it looks to be here, it looks like the Chiefs are running a kind of cover 3. They're basically 3 over the top, a cover 3 variation with everybody else underneath. And we'll get to what Williams did with the ball, but let's focus a little bit on the pass rush initially. So you've got essentially your interior rushes, Amenahu and Chris Jones. They end up doubling Amenahu with the center and guard. Chris Jones gets the one-on-one. And look at Jones and Dana do a great job crushing the pocket again. You know, think about the time when Williams here is planting, trying to throw. Look at what he's got. He's got Karlaftis crushing it. Jones and Dana crushing it. This was a consistent thing we saw through this game, is that the Chiefs were not having to blitz to collapse the pocket. They were able to keep 7 back in coverage. And then the pocket collapsing ended up forcing Williams into making a really poor decision. I'm not sure if he just didn't see Brian Cook dropping here, but the decision at this moment to throw to this route is lunacy. I mean, Cook is right there in position to intercept it, and honestly would have, if not. It's kind of hard to see on this view, but Odunze gets a hand up here and deflects the ball. That's the only reason Brian Cook didn't pick this off and prevent the Bears from scoring whatsoever. A very ill-advised throw from Caleb Williams. I mean, this is a throw that, like, you push the wrong button on Madden, or you just impulsively push your button and immediately regret, like, oh, no, I shouldn't have thrown that ball. I don't know what he was seeing, but I'm sure the fact that the pocket was collapsing around him contributed to this, as the Chiefs pass rush again did a great job of collapsing the pocket just with their defensive linemen. So again, you see, really you've got like a 3 technique here, and Chris Jones is almost playing like a 4-eye. He's playing farther outside than he usually does. And look at him. Oh, man, look at that move right off the start. Like, The guard's trying to get out to him, and watch Chris Jones just swipe his shoulder. And he wasn't quite able to push off, I think, the way that he wanted to. I think if he gets this swipe the way he wants to, he's just unimpeded. But the guard did a good job recovering and at least providing a little bit of resistance as Jones tried to beat him inside. But man, that was a good move. Right off the line, just boom. Jones right into the inside, and then he's got his leverage getting back to the quarterback. Dana's collapsing things from this side too. 70 really had a rough game in this film review. And Karloftis doing his best here. But I just love how much the Chiefs were able to collapse the pocket. And you can really see it here, how Odunze saved an interception. You can see this right here is Odunze's right hand right there that knocks the ball down. Here Cook's hand's really like ready to catch it, like he's the receiver, and Odunze swipes over with his right hand and is able to knock this ball down to prevent Brian Cook from getting the interception. But again, the pass rush's performance was very, very promising. If the Chiefs are able to do this through the season, really like collapse the pocket just with their front four, the defense will look quite good and have quite a bit of success this year.